Normally on this channel I look at pro players, but in this particular video we're going to descend into the trenches and look at this Archon level game. This is a game played by a loyal subscriber who's playing position 5 Visage, which is a very interesting playstyle and I think a very promising one. So let's get started.
My holiness deepens.
Welcome to the Church of Obelis. So the idea behind Visage as a support is that Soul Assumption is a really strong spell in any sort of 2v2 or 3v3 side lane where there's a lot of action happening. This is one of the strongest nukes at level 1 particularly, and it can do a lot of damage. So they're casting a rune here, which I think is definitely a mistake, and our Visage boy is, I think, a bit premature here with his Soul Assumption casting. I think you should always wait until you have the max number of Soul Assumptions, more or less, especially at the start of level 1. Just the base damage is only 20 damage, and then you get 75 per charge. So with 3 charges, that is 245 damage, which is a lot for a level 1 ability. So right away you can see that this is an Archon level game because supports are just hanging out behind the creep wave. He's getting hooked here, and he's kind of slow eating the tree, but Urshak also kind of slow with his stun, so it all evens out. The thing is, as a support, you never want to do this. This is like the #1 typical mistake that low level supports make. They just sit behind their carry in vision near the creeps. This is absolutely terrible. You want to be somewhere like here or maybe here. You definitely don't want to get hooked here, and he's actually going to die here, and there's just zero reason to be here. This doesn't do anything. If you're here, you can't actually hit the enemy because then you're going to be in creep range. The creep's going to aggro you, and you're going to mess up the equilibrium even more than it's already messed up. So you want to stay here in the side, stay here, and you want to hit the enemy, not just sit behind your carry Legion experience, because it just does nothing. So right now our boy Visage is level 2 and he's put upon the Gravekeeper's Cloak. I think this is a big mistake. Most lanes you want to put in the Grave Chill level 2, and as we speak here he's doing some stacking. That's nice. And the next thing you want to do is pull this camp, because the wave is quite far forward, and there's also only Urshak in the lane right now. They don't know for certain. I think that Patch has left. Actually they do now. They do know that he's here because there's a ward here. So you definitely know that there's only this Urshak here. So Terrapin does not have to be afraid. You can definitely do this pull. As I was saying, in terms of ability build, Grave Chill is a much stronger ability here, usually, because it just offers a lot more aggressive potential. This is only good defensively. It's a very selfish ability, so generally you don't want to use this too much. You don't want to rely too much on this as a position 5 or 4 Visage. This is more of a core ability where you level this up, especially in the mid lane. But here in this lane, this slow from Grave Chill is so much more important. There are certain lanes where putting 1 point into Gravekeeper's Cloak early is fine. Like if you're playing in Skywrath, for example, he's not a hero who can very easily clear those stacks, so that helps you a lot with trading. And by the way, also this ward was placed in vision. That's not very good. If you want to place a ward like this, stand like here and then place the ward when you're in the trees, or you can stand like here and then place the ward. Then it's a lot lower chance that you get spotted when you place those wards. And same problem as before, this is just standing here behind the creep, sitting in full vision, and now he's wandering here for no reason, and he gets hooked, and he could just eat this tree and maybe escape, but instead he's gonna stay here. Like if he had eaten this tree and then used Grave Chill, he could quite possibly survive this, but as it is, he's gonna die. So the second death here, and both of these deaths very much avoidable. Visage now TP to the bot lane, tried to help out Sand King, but it was too late, and now he's just wandering in those trees for some reason, and he is actually going to show up in vision here in a second. Really for no reason. Like the hiding in the trees is fine here, but like don't walk like this. Just if you want to hide in the trees, just like go somewhere like here and stay there. You don't always have to be moving. It's okay to just sit still for a couple seconds and support sometimes. And here they go on Lich. This is a very nice attack here, using his charged up soul assumption, doing a lot of damage, and they almost get the kill here, but not quite. So they get both these heroes quite low, and now it's 5 minutes, and you need to get those runes. You can easily fight over those runes. You know that both of these heroes are quite low, so there's zero reason not to go for these runes, but that's just going to net Lich with 100 HP, snatch this rune, and get away with it. And now again, the same problem here. And this especially egregious in the night, because at night it's really easy to hide somewhere. So you just have to stay like here or here, and it's very hard for the enemy to actually see you. So if you're doing this sort of trading, that's fine, but just standing behind the waves and being passive is not okay. And right now this is a bit too far forward here, and he gets gone on by Lich, but he manages to escape. And Sand King turns around, they go on Lich here, and he fires off, I think, a 2-charge soul assumption. This is not good, it's not an efficient use of mana. We'll wait for at least 3 charges, more likely 4. And so far the items he's picked up are quite good, but there's one major oversight here on this Visage, and that is the lack of mana regen. Visage is an incredibly mana hungry hero, especially as a support when you use the soul assumptions, so you want to get a bunch of clarities and mangoes. I like this ward, and now this time it was out of vision when it was placed. This is also a very useful ward here, but personally I would like to place it here, because having this vision here is more important than having this little bit of vision at the end here. Some more skirmishing. Unfortunately this wave is not in a good spot, so it's not easy to fight here. But Lich actually going forward, going on Visage, which is not particularly smart of him. And because they have no slow here, they only get this Lich kill after the Sand King already died. So if you have Grave Chill here, which at the very least should get at level 4, even if you go for Grave Cubist Cloak at level 1, it's really never okay to get a Grave Cubist Cloak level 2 at level 4. If you're playing a support Visage, you definitely need at least 1 level in Grave Chill. They have Void Spirit coming in here, and then we're going this Lich. This is a nicely executed gank. Dodges the hook, very nicely done. That is a clean kill. And right now Void Spirit is just going to stick around. This is a good technique here. If someone's died, it's often good to just kill them again, because then they won't have TP to get back to lane. It's not as impactful on a support as it is on a core, but still it's nice. Instead they go here on Luna, and Luna gets quite low, and again lack of Grave Chill makes her survive. So they try to go on Punch here. Luna goes in with her ultimate, a kind of foolhardy move here, but they do get at least the kill on the Void Spirit, but she also plays with her own life. So this is a 1-for-1 exchange, but if Visage had this level in Grave Chill at least, this would have easily been a much more favorable exchange. Looking at the item build, Visage has done it out with Bassi, getting Bassi very early here. Then Magic Wand is also a fine choice here. One thing that's really missing is a lack of mana regen. Bassi helps a little bit, but it's not enough. You spend so much mana on Visage. You have this 150 mana cost spell with a 4-second cooldown at the TP's top here to help out this fight, which is already over. That's not a good TP. Also, by the way, he's been level 6 for almost a minute now, and he hasn't yet summoned his birds. Now he summons them at last. It's also definitely, as soon as you're level 6, you want to summon those birds, because it just means that the cooldown starts ticking, and if you lose your birds now, you're gonna really regret it, because you're not gonna have a resummon. Go on this punch, try to get the rune, and they get the rune here, and here he just drops the birds right away. This is not very good. You should also use your birds to attack. Use your stun when you really need it, and now you really need the stun, but now he doesn't have the stun because he used it earlier, and so the Saska can easily get away. This is going to be a common theme in this game. Our boy Drossard is just going to use his stunts prematurely all the time, and sort of he underestimates the value of just right-clicking with those birds. And yes, level 1 familiars don't do a ton of damage, especially against melee heroes, but still they have 50 DPS against ranged heroes, and here you could just do a lot more damage against this Earthshaker by just attacking him and then using his stuns. But no, as it is, this Earthshaker escapes because of this premature bird dropping, as well as the lack of Grave Chill. So those birds actually do a lot of damage, so that's 20 damage, 2.5 times per second, that's 50 DPS against ranged heroes, and against melee heroes who have damage block, it's still 30 DPS, that's still quite good. And if you drop your birds, you're missing out on the damage for 6 seconds. Additionally, also you're missing out on the opportunity to drop birds in more important situations, like when you really need that stun or when you need to save your birds. If you're just using stuns all the time, you're not going to have stuns available when you really need them. Right now he's pushing out this wave, which is quite nice. This is the correct play here to make. You leave the more safe farm in the jungle to Terrorblade, and you as support take the riskier farm. This is very nicely done here, and it's also putting pressure on the enemy team. And not the best last hitting here, but at least he's pushing in that wave and putting pressure on this tower, forcing out the Fortify. And right now I just want to retreat a little bit here and then come back in, try to get this tower kill. They see quite a lot of heroes down here, so he's not going to have to be too afraid here. There's only this Earthshaker here, and he indeed does get the tower kill. And right now you just stay in this lane and push it in, and after you push it in this lane, the thing you should do is just farm this jungle camp. But instead our boy Visage is just going to go on a great migration, just wandering aimlessly across the map for no clear purpose, just because there's possibly a fight going on somewhere on the other side of the map doesn't mean you just have to wander there. You should be taking this farm, you should be taking this farm. Just because you're position 5 doesn't mean you're not allowed to farm. And yes, Terrorblade is going to farm all this, but he's not going to make it to this camp in time because of inefficient movement. And also, more importantly, Terrorblade should not be farming this area. Terrorblade should be farming here and here if possible. But if this area is too dangerous, Terrorblade should go and farm these kind of camps. He shouldn't be farming here because the safe lane at 30 minutes in is no longer safe. Terrorblade should be taking the safe farm, whereas the other heroes in the team, such as Visage, should be taking the more dangerous farm in the safe lane. And they find a couple of kills here. This Luna is quite low, and they get the kill. So there's some good fighting here, but really he should be up here and farming here. Or there should be some other hero farming this. It shouldn't be Terrorblade. Terrorblade should be taking the safer farm. After Bassi and Magic Wand, Visage went for Tranquil Boots, which I don't really like too much. It's the extra movement speed from Tranquil Boots is not that important. I'd rather have some other item, something like a medallion maybe, rather than this Tranquil Boots. And now it's gone for Veil of Discord, which is actually quite nice, because there's a lot of magic damage in this team. So Veil of Discord is quite strong. You might also buy Veil of Discord on Sand King, but Sand King is opted against that. So going for it on Visage is fine. But personally, in this game, he's actually doing reasonable well with farming. I'd honestly just go for a medallion here, or even just go for a Dominator. Dominator on support Visage is not as good as on core Visage, obviously, because you're going to get it much later. But Dominator is such a strong Visage item that you still go for it. And again here, the lack of stun is biting him in the butt, and they do still get the Luna kill here because Luna just underestimates the power of Soul Assumption. But Visage now, because his birds were just dropped earlier for no reason, can't stun Husker here, also can't slow Husker here, so he dies. But if he just had 1 point here in Grave Chill and had the birds available, he could have probably survived against Husker. As it is, he now has to fight without his hero, which now means his birds are quite vulnerable. You have to be now careful. But he does get the kill here, and the birds survive. So that is a nice fight. We see him buying some sentries, but honestly it's not enough. He should be buying more sentries in this game. He's kind of neglecting his support duties here. And I was playing more like a position 4, which isn't terrible, but you want to buy a bit more sentries than this. Right now what we should be doing is farming this camp or farming this camp, but instead he's just gonna wander around here aimlessly, as well as being in vision, which is very, very bad, and also dropping the birds. I guess that was a misclick. So now you can't actually save Void Spirit, and given that you already dropped the birds, it's correct here to abandon Void Spirits. You can't help him here, but if you had the birds available, there's a good chance that you can actually help. Now I'm going to see some warding here, and he places this Observer Ward first, and then he places a Sentry Ward. This is the wrong order. First you want to place a Sentry Ward, see if there's a ward there, and deward it if possible, and then you can still drop your Observer Ward if you really want to, because then the enemy doesn't know for certain that you have an Obs Ward there. Whereas like this, they definitely know that the Obs Ward is there, and they can come and deward it at any time. And if you have a hero that has an easy way of getting high ground vision, like Visage with his familiars, you can also just drop this sentry a bit farther out. You can drop it somewhere like here. You still have vision up to the cliff, but you can also see wards planted here, or you can drop it like here. This sees wards that are planted like here, and this way you can do some more efficient dewarding. Lich comes in here to try to deward, and also very stupidly places regular Obs Ward there. I have no idea what he was thinking there, but that's what just happens. And he also gets away with his life though, because there isn't any point in Grave Chill yet. He only got that after killing that ward. So Visage now going for a Force Staff. I hesitate to call Force Staff a bad item, but in this game I don't think it's the best choice here. There isn't any hero where Force Staff is really required in the enemy team, and there's just so many better items to buy. Like Force Staff is basically always good, but here I think just going for some sort of aura item, like a Dominator, like a drum, like a pipe, I think would be a lot better. They go on Husker here, and he's using his abilities quite nicely, but Husker is surviving still, but now he gets killed. This Chain Frost killing the birds because they were dropped. I mean, in this case, the dropping the birds was actually kind of reasonable. Tries to go for the kills, gets a double kill here, and now he also gets killed on the Earthshaker here. Now he's sort of trapped here, and very nicely this Void Spirit blocks the hook, and they go on Pudge, and Visage dies, but Pudge is also going to fall. So this was a really good trade here. They lost Visage of course, but they got the team wipe, and they can defend this outpost. You find the mango tree here. You can remove mango tree with the birds, but you have to be quite precise with dropping the birds. You have to drop it right over the tree, so he missed both times, and it's going to take a while here now. I also tried to do it with the Earth Spirit. You could also remove it with Force Staff, and there we go, another bird. Now the tree is removed. They have this Void Spirit going in here, so as a Visage just hit the available targets here. Punch is available here, and now this time he's doing it right with the birds, not dropping them right away, and now you drop them. This is the right time here. Stop the bouncing going around, and now he retreats with his birds and actually TPs out, but Void Spirit wants to come back in and tries to go for this Husker kill, but now the birds are so vulnerable you have to be careful, and Visage does have the resummon, so he can always save those birds, and he loses one, but then he resummons. But very importantly, all of this, Terrorblade is still farming. Unfortunately though, this Terrorblade is not the best farmer. He's farming quite inefficiently. He's not really as farmed as he should be. His top net worth base should be much higher here, given how much space he's had in this game. You can easily use a slow here on that illusion. You have quite a bit of mana regen now with that arcane ring available. definitely use that Grave Chill. Also definitely buy TPs. TPs are so cheap, they're basically free. There's no excuse not to have a TP. Good stun here on Husker, and they get the kill. And against Husker, you typically want to save your bird stuns until it's quite low, because then he does the most damage. A lot of chasing going on here. They go quite deep here, and Visage rightly staying on the outskirts here and not going too deep. And now it's just retreating. Maybe a bit of premature usage of that force staff, but he does get away. And he's trying to block with his familiars here, but familiars don't actually block hook, so that wouldn't work. Now our boy Visage is going for an Eon Disc, and I honestly don't know why. Going for defensive items is fine, but there's not really that much burst on the enemy team. Like, I guess with Earthshaker you're afraid of being bursted or something, but honestly this is not the item you want to go for. If you want to go for defensive item, Pipe is infinitely superior. Pipe is a great item in most games, and this is a particularly great Pipe game. There's so much magic damage in the enemy team. The Pipe is so useful in protecting these illusions, in protecting your own birds, in keeping up your Gravekeeper's Cloak counters. Pipe is just such a strong item in Visage in general, and in this game in particular, so Pipe definitely much better than Eon Disc. Another great item to go for here is Solar Crest. Medallion obviously great item in Visage, and then Solar Crest is really strong here. In combination with this Terror Blade, buffing him up is very, very strong, and it's also quite strong offensively against Husker or Luna. So definitely I think you should go for one of these two items as next item, not this Eon Disc. You see a punch in the mid lane here, so they initiated him, stun him, and use their slows here. Visage also coming in, and he's staying quite smartly on the outskirts of the fight. But what you should be doing is use your birds more aggressively, because as long as you have those 4 counters, your birds are more or less invulnerable. They take almost no damage. So now he's playing it right, using his birds to attack, actually again dropping them prematurely here. But he's still staying well positioned, so they win this fight. Terrorblade of course is also quite farmed right now, and this is a really good fight. Even though Terrorblade accidentally attacked the creep here, but still a team wipe, and this is a bit of annoying bouncing going on here, but it's not a big deal. So they can easily take this tier 2 tower. And the enemy is still dead, so it's time for high ground. And here just hit the tower. And now that Earthshaker is alive, he still has Echo Slam. You want to be a bit more careful. You want to keep your hero a bit farther back, and not have everything clumped up, waiting for an Echo Slam to happen. So definitely you can stay a bit farther behind with your hero. And right now, because he's so far forward, he gets gone on by this Husker. He should be retreating with those birds. These birds can easily be killed right now, but they're just not going for the birds. And so the birds actually managed to get the melee racks. So this is a definite mistake that ends up paying off, because the enemy are not responding right. And now Visage gets found by Pudge. He's going to get hooked, and he is also going to die. So they get both Raxes, but they pay with a couple of hero kills. Earthshaker is having an Archon moment, jumps into here, and is actually cliffed here, so he gets killed by Void Spirit. And here Husker is very far forward, gets gone on, and this is not a healthy Husker, and he dies. So 2 people dead for pretty much no reason. They're just stupidity pushing this far forward on its own. And now it's Roche o'clock. They get Terrorblades, and they can go on this Roshan. Visage slowly making his way here. He should be having a TP, but he doesn't have one. Bird's going to the pit to help attack here. This is quite risky because they're not near Visage yet. Now it's fine. Now she should just go into this pit and hit Roshan. You just pop the Lincoln with Soul Sandwich and then use Grave Chill, help out, kill this Roshan. Instead it's going to go up here and do some fighting. I think he should definitely be in this pit, not this Void Spirit, because Visage does a lot more single target damage than the Void Spirit. And right now again, he should be using his birds to interrupt this Lich, but instead he's just dropping them randomly here. They do still get the kills, they're just so far ahead at this point, and Terrorblade is quite strong in this stage of the game. Didn't really have anything good to deal with this Terrorblade right now. Nice drops here on that Pudge, cancelling the TP, even though he's invis, but Pudge manages to blink out and escape. So right now they actually do find Pudge and kill him, and now the game is more or less over, except for the fact that all these people are Archon players and they just forget about the fact that there's an Earthshake in this game, and they just clump up incredibly tightly here, and in a second this Earthshaker is gonna jump in here and he's gonna have time of his life with all these illusions, all these birds, and there we go. That's a dunk. Terrorblade, it does manage to get off his Sunder, but this is still not the greatest fight. Next to the fountain they can easily do buybacks, and Visage also far too far forward. You don't need to be that far forward, you have a lot of range on your abilities. You can just stay back and have your birds be in the front line. And this is no longer a good fight. Visage gets hooked and they die here, but honestly it doesn't matter. This game is more or less over. Visage now has a Titan Sliver, and that's a bad Visage. That Titan Sliver should go to Terrorblade, much stronger than Vampire Fangs. But apparently this Terrorblade really likes this lifesteal. And they're taking this tier 2 tower now, opening up this additional lane of racks. And for some reason Visage has queued a Nullifier. I don't know what the thinking here is. Why would you go for Nullifier? It's a terrible item on Visage, especially if you're a support Visage. Just any of the items I mentioned previously would be much better. Get a Solar Crest, get a Pipe, get anything except this Nullifier here. And so now we see this Indus being popped, didn't really do anything, and Visage can escape here. And I mean, this is just Archon play in action. People just repeatedly running into this Earthshaker and just forgetting about his existence until he comes in with the $1 million Echo Slam. Despite a couple of misplays here and there, this Visage is still doing really well. Like for position 5, he's farmed extraordinarily well, even though he could have farmed a lot more, especially in those low level games. There's a lot of space available on the map. Cores are not using the space effectively, so as a support, go and farm that the cores are not taking, especially the more risky farm, which you can more easily afford to take rather than someone like a Terrorblade. So if he had played this better, he would have been even more farmed. And that's just one of the advantages of position 5 Visage, that even though you're position 5, you can still farm reasonably well with your birds. And I think actually Visage is quite viable at position 5. The thing is that there's a lot of dual lanes and tridents being played at the moment. Especially in the pro level, we see a lot of tridents making a comeback. And Soul Assumption has been buffed in the most recent patch. So I think Visage as a 5 can actually work quite well. We haven't really seen that in recent times at the pro level, but I still think that's something that can definitely be explored and that might be quite strong. And this of course also opens up additional possibilities for drafting, because we've already seen that Visage can of course be played as a mid. We've also seen that he can be played as a safe laner and an off laner. I've covered games of that on this channel in the past, so I'm going to link those in the top right. Go check those out. And position 4 Visage is going to work out pretty much the same as position 5 Visage, just with a little bit more farm. And this means that Visage can be played in literally any position, which of course is a great advantage in drafting. This means you can draft Visage quite early, and then if they counter it, you can just play it as a support, and if they don't counter it, you run it as a core. So this makes it a lot stronger in competitive play. So what are the lessons of this game? One of the key mistakes here made by our Visage hero is that he's just sitting in lane too much in vision. This is one of the classic mistakes as a support. As far as the more Visage-centric things go, not enough mana regen, but you definitely want to buy a lot of mangoes at the start. You want to buy a lot of clarities in the mid and late game because you're just spamming your spells so much. And also, birds are quite good for the DPS, not just for their dropping. And if you use those bird drops more judiciously, you have them available more often when you really need them to save your birds or to stun someone, especially in a lineup like this where you can interrupt Pudge's ultimate as well as Lich's Sinister Gaze. So these I think are the key mistakes here in this game, but on the whole, of course, a very successful game and a well-deserved victory in this Archon level game. So this was a bit of an experiment looking at a lower level game. Tell me in the comment section how you like this. Next video is definitely going to be again looking at pro level play. So if you want to get better at playing Chen, Lone Druid, Visage, various other micro heroes, subscribe to this channel and ring the bell. And I'll leave you with these other Visage games, and Obelisk willing, I'll see you there.